right, Nelise, you just passed the PMP. How do you feel?
I feel great. I'm so happy. It's finally an accomplishment that's been on my list of goals for the past 3 years. And I can finally check it off after 3 years of a lot of life happenings. And now I can finally check it off. I'm so happy. I feel it's weird. It feels surreal, but I finally did it.
That's awesome. We're super proud of you. So, all right, give us the short version. Like you said, 3 years, a lot of life, a lot of other things
Yes.
happening. You don't have to go super in depth, but like, what was the journey like for you?
Well, the journey for me started out with just taking a certificate program.
Mhm.
So I did a certificate program. I earned the 35 credit hours needed to even apply for the exam at that time. And my goal was to take the PMP right after I finished the boot camp, because the certificate included a prep course that had a boot camp attached to it for 3 days.
Mhm.
But after taking the boot camp and listening to other people talk about their experience with taking the test, I said, I'm not doing this. So I was scared. I didn't do it for over, um, I didn't get serious about taking the test for about 3 years. And it was finally last year, which was now, yeah, beginning of the third year, I decided, let me see if I can pass this test before it changes again. So the last time I wanted to take the test was when it changed, I guess 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And everyone was rushing to take it then. And I said, oh, I'm going to do this because there's no way I can pass it when it's updated. And then I didn't apply for it. Oh, no, I did apply. I applied for it and then I canceled my exam. So this time around, I said, no, I'm going to do this. When the pandemic hit, I realized, okay, Nelise, you should really try and pivot, skill up, learn something new, finish what's been on your list. Like you have nothing to fear at this point. So I decided to try to test out and finish it by the end of December of 2020 before the exam change. And I searched on Google, how to pass the PMP exam in 15 days. And one of your videos popped up.
Right.
And I found the 7-day accelerator and we spoke. And here I am. I passed it after my second attempt.
Mhm.
I don't want to say I didn't take it. I did take it in December.
Mhm.
And I did fail at that time, but I know where I missed the steps on using the accelerator effectively and not following my coach's advice. I thought I knew better because of what I learned in my previous boot camp, which was, oh, you need to read the PMBOK. Oh, you need to take notes. Oh, you need to be able to spell out the processes and type everything out. And I was still thinking that way, and it cost me the first time. But the second time around, I passed with 2 above targets, so I can't complain. I know the 7-day accelerator works.
Nice. And so it was that change in your, I think this is interesting. Like we want to be 100% transparent. Like you started doing it, you failed. Like
Yeah.
you said, hey, I was kind of like stuck in the old mentality.
I
When
was.
when you made the shift over,
Mhm.
what was different? Like what happened in your brain? What was the learning process like? What was it like when you actually like followed the process and like bear down and did it?
Um, I decided to believe that it worked.
Okay.
I believed that if I followed this process, it will work.
Mhm.
Before, I believed that it worked, but no, there has to be this component of stressing out to memorize everything, of stressing out to have copious notes, stressing out to, oh, I need to be studying 10 hours plus a day. When I started to limit my study time to 3 or 4 hours a day, I looked at the videos. I used the book. The Master Prep book also
Mhm.
was a godsend for me because that made me not take notes.
Mhm.
And that was a shift. When I detached from actually passing, and I believed that if I followed my coach's advice, if I followed Scott's advice, took my time in answering my questions, don't worry about notes, do the data dump. Because that's where I missed a step last time. I said, there's no way just following this data dump that I'm gonna remember everything. I was like, no, I need to take a ton of notes. And I had a binder filled of notes and I threw them all away after I took the test.
Mhm.
But giving myself the chance to believe that what you say works, like what you told me works, I will follow this new process and see what happens. And it worked.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, the cool thing was you were in the coaching calls and stuff. So let's talk a little bit about
Yeah.
like the interactions in the coaching calls. Like, how did you, like, what is the benefit of those? Let's just talk about the hard questions calls with me.
Sure.
Like, how,
Yeah.
how did the hard questions calls like impact your studying? How did they help you? Talk me through that process, if you don't mind.
Well, the hard questions gave me something to look forward to every week.
Okay.
So with accountability, we went into a little bit more in-depth parts of the exam, but with hard questions, it gave me a chance to see how other students thought about questions and how they answered. But I felt like I had something to look forward to. I had to get my studying done
Mhm.
so that when I came to hard questions, if there was a question that I didn't recognize, I could say, oh, well, I think this is in this knowledge area or in this process, I'm not sure.
Mhm.
But it gave me something to look forward to where I felt like I wasn't on this journey by myself. That was the key factor for me, even signing up for this program, was not taking a boot camp when I was left by myself in these streets trying to figure out how do I pass this test now with all this knowledge that has been thrown at me for days. It gave me a chance to sort of digest everything I was learning each day during the accelerator and then prepare to come during hard questions and answer those questions with the question answering methodology that you shared with us.
Well, that's cool. And then like you balance that with like the accountability coaching, right? Where you guys set
Yes,
your own plan. And how did that go? Because like you're with, like, I love the idea that you felt like community, and that's what we're
I
trying to get
did.
across here. Like you felt like you were one of like the team and
I
there's no
felt,
judgment and all that stuff. But like
mhm,
we had your coach put you in mind, like
yeah.
Nelise's plan. And so talk us through like how that went for you.
I love the introduction of the student workbook
Mhm.
because it allowed me to look at a schedule and see what part of the program I needed to focus on. And also, actually, what and I ended up doing is I stopped. I didn't go back and do the accelerator again after I failed.
Mhm.
I decided to focus on the data dump that I ignored. So I focused on my data dump, and that's what changed this I guess exam attempt for me, is that I focus on what I didn't know, and then I can use what I know as encouragement to say, well, you know X, Y, and Z on the exam. So don't worry about that. You can take quizzes on that and you're fine. Focus on what you don't know. Talk to your coach about what you don't know. And thankfully, literally, the coaching call I had before my exam, my coach went over a graph and a question that I had on my test. So that was perfect. I told him, I said, you have no idea how much that helped us to start really reviewing what these bar charts and histograms, what they all mean, what the Pareto chart means, what they mean, and why we should be able to understand what's going on in the graph and how quickly we can do so. So
Awesome. And then like, okay, so beforehand, it sounds like to me, it feels like you were like encumbered by like all these facts and memories and worries and all this stuff.
I
And the
was.
second time you just went in with like a smile and a little bit of confidence, maybe a teensy bit of worry, and you did really, really well. So like, do you believe that people have to memorize to pass this test or not?
I don't. I don't believe they have to memorize because I I think you need to understand the flows of the processes. That's what changed for me this time. Is one of the key videos for me in the program was the seven key flows, seven, right? Seven key
Yeah.
flows. And then the emotional resilience. So you spoke about my attitude this time around. That was because of the emotional resilience course, the module that I did. And that was amazing. It literally gave me the boost and reset that I needed after feeling um, really discouraged about having to take the test again and the possibility of failing again. After the emotional resilience module, I was pumped. I said, you know what? I know that I'm going to pass because I'm doing the work to pass. So it's inevitable that I'm going to pass. And that realization, that truth, gave me the boost that I needed to really focus on studying, showing up to my accountability calls, because I'm not gonna lie, once the new year started, I just said, "Oh, I guess I'll go. Oh, I guess I'll go to a HQ," but I didn't after a while. But
Mhm.
then I said, "No, don't give up on yourself. Take the test again. You're gonna pass." And the emotional resilience is what changed it for me.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad it did, because like there's like a, when I thinking about these boot camps and stuff like that, I'm like, it seems so surface level, and
Mhm.
it provides no context, it provides no support, it provides none of that stuff, any of those things, just from like listening to you and suffering myself. That like the emotional side of it, and then balancing it with the coaches and stuff like,
Right.
who was your coach?
David Young.
Okay. He's a good one. They're all good.
He's
Yeah.
amazing.
And so what was the, like like when you show up in your coaching calls, you got an hour and a half, there's a small group, like talk us through like what you do and how you got better from it. Cause getting back on the horse and getting into it, a lot of times it's scary for people, tough for people, but
Yeah.
how did David help you get back into this? And you take the ball from there.
Well, first, David he really created a safe space for us to be able to express what we were going through. And there was no judgment. And that was the shift for me. And you do the same thing. I'm not saying you don't, but but I felt really comfortable at the beginning to share with him that I was struggling when I came back and I got serious. And I told him I know we talked about me starting with the agile module, but would you what else do you recommend that I do or suggest that I do? Because mentally I'm having a tough time because I feel so discouraged right now.
Mhm.
And he really put it into perspective for me by just thinking about what's the worst thing that can happen. And once we went through the worst thing that can happen, it wasn't so bad because the PMP will always be there. So even if I failed this time, I can still come back and take it, and he would be there to help me, and other students would be there to support me. So that's what I took from the discussion, and it gave me the opportunity to tell him, well, um, I'll follow the workbook schedule that we created together. And I would email him randomly sometimes throughout the week and say, hey, I didn't get a chance to review this part of my plan, but I feel a lot more comfortable with X. So I'm ready to talk about that. And if I had any questions, we would talk about it leading up to the coaching call. He wanted us to email him the night before if we have any questions. And he really customized each session for the students. That's what I really appreciated about him. It wasn't just going over questions. It was, what are you struggling with? Let's review it. And that's what he said with the graphs that we went over, the histograms and all the images that we reviewed. That was a question from a student as well. So that was great.
That's awesome. I mean, this brings it all together. It's really cool to say, like, I mean, nobody likes a overnight success. Like, I showed up, I got a perfect score, like blah blah blah.
I did it in 7 days.
Did it in 7 days. And that's the thing. Like, I kind of timed myself to this 7-day thing when somebody called me and was like, hey man, I got 7 days to do this. Can we do it? And they're like, well, I guess so. Let me figure it out.
Yeah.
And then, but now it's like, it's customized to whatever you want. Like,
it really is. It really is. It's the whole student, the whole person. I don't see a lot of these programs where they have emotional resilience. I mean, where do they even address the mental part of passing this exam? That to me is 80% of it, is to believe you could even pass. If you don't believe you can pass, you're probably not going to, at least not the first time. So that was a difference for me. This program covers the whole person. There are so many resources, the chat option where we get to talk to other students, other coaches throughout the day. I really appreciated all of it. And I still hop on there sometime to talk to people in the chat. So that makes
that's
it fun
awesome.
still.
That's cool. Well, at least you've taught us a lot. Let's finish off with like some positive words. Like, you've been killing us with good stuff, like doing awesome, amazing. There's probably people out there like you,
Mhm.
smart, like trying to skill up, doing well. Maybe they've hit some roadblocks. Maybe they just didn't get there by the previous exam.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of like, they're just stuck in the mud a little bit, and they need, confidence down a little bit. Who knows? What would you say to those people to kind of bounce them back up, to get on a path so that they're, getting to the place where you are now?
I guess grace, and to give yourself, believe that any investment you've made is worth it in yourself. And that's what I think I spoke with you about before, is I thought that I No. That's what happened. During the emotional resilience module, I felt so ashamed for failing the first time because I spent so much money on the exam. I invested the money in this program. And I thought to myself, wow, if I fail again, I've wasted thousands of dollars on this exam and I'm a failure.
Hmm.
So I would say to give yourself grace and give yourself the opportunity to try again, because no one is judging you. You're the only one judging yourself. When I came to that realization that no one cares how much I spent on this program, because the only way they will know is if I told them that I spent this much money. No one would know that I invested in the exam unless I told them I invested in the exam. And then if that's the case, that means I'm being hard on myself. Give yourself grace to take it again, to invest time in yourself, to care for your mind and your emotions, and say that I'm worth it. And it's okay if I didn't do as well as I wanted to before, but I know that I can again. I can do better this time around. Grace would be the word. Grace.
Gee whiz, is the word I would use. It's 2 words. That is amazing. Yeah, because like a lot of times I see that people suffer. It's not my quote, somebody else's. To your point, is like, I love what you're talking about. You're giving yourself the opportunity to like succeed. And a lot of us suffer more in our mind than we do from like
Yes.
others, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I was my worst. I cried so much in that emotional resilience module. I don't want to start crying right now,
I
but
beat you to it, so we're good. So
it, and I know I texted you after I did it, but
yeah.
it was just one of those things where I said to myself, you're being a monster to yourself right now. Like, stop. And I know I can't stop. I haven't stopped. I'm learning to stop.
Yeah.
But in that moment, like when I told you
Yeah.
it clicked for me. I'm going to pass. It was just this new feeling of I can do it. These people believe in me. I can do this. And it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of my life. I can pass. And it was just this relief that came over me. And I detached, completely detached from if I pass, that I'm a good person or a bad person. There was no question if I'm good or bad. I'm good because I decided to invest, first of all, in myself. I'm good because I even decided to upskill. I'm good because I decided to stretch my brain and learn something new. I'm good because I showed up for these calls. I'm good because I did not even cancel my exam this time around. I didn't cancel it. And I went to cancel it and they told me I couldn't. So and I said, well, this is a sign, God. I'm going to finish it this time. And I did it. And after I hit that submit button, I sat in the same chair, looked at this computer, and I said, wait, does that say congratulations? I didn't read anything else on the whole screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, Nelise, I first of all personally thank you for everything that you did and the way you stuck with it. It's because it's an
You stuck with it.
Yeah. And that's good. So you choked me up, which is good. I mean, it means a lot because like I know what it meant to you, but like the little bit of transformation. I was gonna ask you, like, do you think it made a difference in the way you lead projects and stuff like that? But
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm actually in the process right now of leading a data science project. I don't have any data science experience.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, what the heck did I just get myself into? And this is not even related to my full-time job. This is a different opportunity altogether. And I said, well, this is the time for me to exercise some of the things I learned. And right now I'm struggling with this team. It's a struggle. But from what I've learned with what I experienced just with this, not even agile waterfall, just Nelise, don't internalize how people treat you. Don't internalize those thoughts of feeling like you are a failure as a project manager.
Yeah.
Reset. And that's what I did. I looked at the module again and
Mhm.
I looked at my worksheets and I said, what's the worst thing that could happen? So Coach David came to me
Yeah.
and you came to me and I said, okay, I can do this. So I'm working with people from up and down the East Coast. I'm
Yeah.
working with someone who's on our team from Canada. And now our like advisor has moved to LA. So instead of being on East Coast time, he's now on Pacific Standard Time. So we're all over the place right now, but you know what? It's okay.
Yeah.
And so now I lead with more grace. This transformation for me, honestly, it's been about grace and giving yourself permission and forgiving yourself. Just forgiving yourself.
Yeah.
Such a big deal. Yeah.
I love it. I think you taught us like, and that's the thing that I can see like in you from like the outsider's perspective, you know, being there and watching you evolve and come into like what was possible, always possible,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
we could see it in you. It's just like, got to get there and it just takes time. Everybody's on their own path. But now it's like, I mean, this is the cool part. Like that you're like, hey, you got this harder project. It's harder than you thought. Cool. Like, let me reset. Let me go forth. Let me use some skills. Let
Yes.
me get better. And then just do. And we'll always have those little bumps. But yeah, now we got skills. So now we can
Yep.
go. Well,
Yep.
Nelise, I really, really appreciate everything you've done. This won't be the
Thank
last
you.
time that we chat. And if there's anything we can do to help you, please let us know.
I will. Thank you. Take care.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.